Hello my fellow art lovers and welcome to KayJayComicArt. KJ here bringing you a brand new kind of video. Today I'll be talking about my OC for Naruto, a woman by the name of Mari Kaede. Last name Mari, first name Kaede. So if you were to say it in English it'd be Kaede Mari. Not Mari Kaede, but because I follow the Japanese version of the anime, it's Mari Kaede. She is paired with Orochimaru, but I made sure their relationship developed organically, so don't expect the usual fluff fest with this description. So yeah, I'll be going over 3 basic points about my character. They'll be the character's origin, their backstory, and their interests. Well, some of their interests. I won't be mentioning the actual story in detail, but I will give a basic description of the fanfic, and if you're interested in reading it, I'll put a link to my fanfiction, Archive of Our Own, and DeviantArt below. The story is called Burning Hatred, Blossoming Love on fanfiction.net in AO3, but on DeviantArt it's an abbreviation, BHBL. So yeah, here's Kaede's origins. Basically how I came up with her design. I will admit something right off the bat though. If a character has a pairing, it's because I have a crush or deep feelings for that character. I don't find it strange or embarrassing. I just seem to prefer fictional characters over real people, and I don't seem to have any control over it. If that bothers you, then this is certainly going to be an issue because the majority of my content follows these feelings. This has been a thing since I was 9 years old and fell in love with the Doctor from Doctor Who, and I just never grew out of it. Kaede was created because I developed feelings for Orochimaru's character thanks to his backstory. And at first, I planned to make her Suigetsu's cousin, which is why her name begins with a Ka, to follow the theme of Katon for Kaede and Sweeton for Suigetsu. However, I decided that her story would be rather boring if she was just a character's family member, and I scrapped that idea altogether, but kept the cute one-sided fang she had in her design because I really wanted a fanged character and it suited her so well. Next, I planned to make her an experiment created by Orochimaru, who eventually became his love interest, but with the timeline I planned out, she would have only been 10 years old despite looking his age, and that rubbed me the wrong way because I only pair adult characters with adult characters, nothing else. So I scrapped that one too. The final idea, before I figured out what I wanted to do, was to make Kaede Orochimaru's best friend when they were growing up, but I decided against it after seeing many a fanfic with that exact premise, and wanted something different. So finally, I made her Asuna Gakure Kunoichi, with no previous ties to Orochimaru, who was later taken in for experimentation. This ensures I have a good slow burner and a severely dark storyline that turns light around the ending. At least I hope so. I haven't finished the story yet, and at this point it basically writes itself. That's her origins out the way though, so now I'll talk about her backstory. Kaede is a bit like Naruto. She starts off as the underdog, but eventually becomes a legend. However, in Kaede's story, she falls from her pedestal and is forced to become the villain she swore she'd never be. She was a wild card as a genin and was always holding her friends Takeshi and Shinako back from progressing. This led to her making a bet with the Kazekage, the third Kazekage to be precise, to allow her friends to take the tuning exams without her, while also limiting her applications to once a year so she had longer to develop her skills. She eventually became a chunin at the age of 20, but soon grew colder and more calculated when her actions as the lead chunin during a mission set within the time frame of the Second Great Shinobi War led her to get her entire squad killed during a dispute that revealed their location. This sparked worry in her parents, and they kept an eye on her as her personality seemed to shift into 2 abrupt types: a strategist with little emotion to show from on the outside, and a laid-back wildfire that liked to joke and tease those around her. As she became a jonin, she met a man named Kiyoshi, and the two started dating and finally got married 2 years after they met at 30. Kiyoshi, though, developed a work addiction when Kaede tried to help him, he fell out of love with her and divorced her. This was prompted when Kaede made a rash decision to dump his work into a trash chute outside their apartment, and Kiyoshi caught her, which led to their relationship breaking fight. Kaede's strange behaviour worsened as she learned to put on a front and hide her true emotions with ease because she didn't want to worry anyone. But she managed to get her life back together, and at 38 she was back to being a respected and strong kunoichi. However, that's when Orochimaru found her and took notice of her abilities. He kidnapped her, then killed her ex, who tried to save her. No one knows why he was near her apartment to begin with, at least not yet. But he was, and his life was sacrificed. Kaede was then subjected to torturous experiments over the course of 10 years that changed her, not just mentally, but physically as well. She was littered with scars, one of her canines elongated as a side effect to her mutated genetics, and if she was within water for more than 45 minutes, she would fall into a hypothermic coma and die. She could be warmed up in time, but it's within those 45 minutes. Kaede only found out why she would die when in contact with water when she lost control of her emotions one day burst into flames thanks to her uncontrollable chakra, which reacted negatively to her emotional state. She tried to escape Orochimaru's hideout now that she finally had the opportunity, since her flames had melted the ninjutsu-proof glass that had withstood everything she threw at it prior, but ultimately failed when her wounds from the embers grew so bad she collapsed from the pain. Orochimaru knew then that she was a failure, since he planned to turn her into a vessel, but couldn't thanks to her unpredictable afflictions. However, he kept her around as an Otogakure Kunoichi, since with the added power of his experiments, she was more powerful than most Uchiha, except Itachi, of course, and later Sasuke. Kaede planned to escape properly after that and let her family know what had happened so they could find and kill Orochimaru and rid the world of his poison once and for all. Little did she know, Orochimaru's actions on the night of her kidnapping had smeared her name, giving her the title of a rogue who killed her ex and left in the dead of night, purely because Orochimaru left no trace that he was the one who did it. That was the start of their entire story. And finally, to finish off the character synopsis, I'm going to go over some small interests and details about the character herself. But first, I'll explain her story. Basically, it starts off as her wanting her revenge, moves to her figuring out that Orochimaru was more than just the experimenting psychopath she thought he was, to their developed feelings for one another. I am 57 chapters into the story and they've only just moved on to the developing feelings part, so believe me when I say this is definitely a slow burner. So now I'll go on to the character's interests. First of all, Kaede has an obsession with the novel Icha Icha Paradise, or Come Come Paradise, depending on which version you're watching. Also, I'll just point out for the sake of those who don't watch the Japanese version, Sunagakure means Hidden Sand Village, Konohagakure means Hidden Leaf Village, and Otogakure means Hidden Sound Village, just in case that wasn't clear. It was given to her by Kiyoshi when they were living together, and at first she read it and made fun of it, because she thought it wasn't. She didn't take it seriously. However, she soon found herself invested in the novel and read it a second and even a third time. Now it is her most cherished possession and has been dog-eared to oblivion, but will never be replaced due to its sentimental value. Kaede does like reading other books, but Icha Icha has become her sole story franchise since Kiyoshi gifted her that book. People marvel at how she could read that book that many times over the near 2 decades she'd had it. But she still continues, and it's still one of her favourites, even after she starts reading new stuff. Another strange obsession for Kaede is her love for curry. She adores spicy food, especially a good curry with white rice. However, the strange part about this love for curry is that she prefers ready-made curry to the one you put in a microwave. She prefers ready-made curry that you put in a microwave to a homemade curry. She can make an excellent homemade curry, like gorgeous, delicious, amazing homemade curry, but won't and opts out to get a boxed one instead. Later, she explains that after an exhausting mission, the last thing she wanted to do was slave over a stove, so she just gets the one that's easy to make and has sort of grown to love it over time. Hence why she prefers it now. Kaede's preferred drink is a simple can of cola. It has water in it, yes, but the fizzy aspect and other ingredients dilute the water's purity and make it almost harmless to her. But I say almost because she has a limit. If she drinks more than 2 cans a day, she will start to feel the effects of her aversion to water. Because of this, she is in a constant state of dehydration and has to find alternative sources of rehydration when in the tuning exams that happen during the story, which is why she ends up eating a lot of berries, because they give her a bit of water in her system, but not enough to cause her any danger. Finally, Kaede's favourite colour is maroon, which is why every outfit I've ever designed for her has a maroon element to it. Whether it was a garb she wore, a scrap of fabric on her Jonin uniform, or a robe given to her by Orochimaru, it's got a maroon attached to it in some form or another. And that's it from me, I think. I hope you all enjoyed this in-depth look at Kaede and the storyline I've made for her. I'm really proud of her design and the story I've made, but I want to really quickly put a disclaimer here. This story contains a lot of elements of Stockholm Syndrome and toxic relationships. I wrote it this way because it made sense for the characters. I do not and will not condone these kinds of relationships in real life. If you or someone you know is in a relationship similar to the one Kaede and Orochimaru share, please seek help. No one deserves to suffer like that. Just because my story could end happily does not mean it will in real life. And on that dark top note, I will thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to keep up to date with my content. I will see you all next week for another video. Bye bye.